Hey everybody, my name is Ben, and today I have the iPhone 13 Pro with me. Now this is an awesome phone, especially in 2023. Let's get right into my thoughts about it. So here we have it. This is the iPhone 13 Pro, and this is my experience using it in 2023. Now, as you all know, the iPhone 13 Pro is no slouch. This phone is still an absolute killer in 2023. And considering the prices that these things are starting to drop down to, this really is an insane phone for the money and probably my number one recommendation for what it is. Now, I bought this phone just a little bit ago. I got it on eBay for about $500. It's AT&T locked, which is something that I wouldn't recommend. I'd recommend getting an unlocked model for most people. But considering $500 to $600, $700 for these on the used market, I think they're probably the best spent money you can get right now in the iPhone world. Just really an insane phone. I think the number one thing with this phone compared to all phones before it has to be ProMotion. Now, of course, it's really hard to capture that on camera. It's really hard to see the smoothness that this phone has, but just in your day-to-day use, using it compared to any other phone before it, or even newer iPhones that just have the 60 hertz regular displays, there's a smoothness, a butteriness to this phone that simply can't be touched by any other iPhone previous to it. It just feels on a different level. I think the biggest thing that also has just been a huge standout on this phone to me compared to other iPhones I've had is the camera. You have a really spectacular front-facing and rear-facing camera on this phone. It has, as far as I remember, it has the same 12-megapixel sensor the iPhone 12 Pro Max had, but that is a fantastic sensor. And I just took a quick picture here, but the 13 Pro really shines at color reproduction. Now, this is not the best way of showing you these pictures, but you can see just the color, the detail in these photos. It's really a stunning camera. Likewise, when you have a little bit less light, it still is able to produce an excellent image without much grain or without much noise in those photos. Even here on the inside, you can have some good contrast between light areas and dark areas, and it comes out nicely. Selfie camera, likewise, is a really solid camera. You can see that there's good detail in the shirt, good balance of colors, and it interprets skin well, even in darkness. So you can see that it adjusts the image at the end and makes a good image for selfies. So I think the camera and the 120 hertz ProMotion display are the two really shining elements of this phone that make it stand out. On top of that, I think the battery is really stunning on it. Now, this one that I have has 94% battery health, but you can see that in the last 24 hours, I've used it for about 5 hours, 4 hours and 51 minutes of screen on time, and it's only used about 50% of it. So this phone has pretty incredible screen on time. And I'm a light user on my phone. You could see yesterday I only got it down to about 50% battery. So you can put this through its paces and the battery just goes and goes. Really impressive for this phone. So if you're a heavier user, if you're gaming on your phone, if you need it for long days, I say the 13 Pro has a huge recommendation. And I think that comes down to a mix of this phone having a bigger battery and the A15 chip, which is more efficient. And that made a huge difference on the whole iPhone 13 lineup. Overall performance, as you've just seen me kind of swiping around this phone, it's quick. There's not a lot of delays in opening applications. I caught the news app off guard, I think, but this phone is super quick and it has enough RAM that you can swipe through previous apps relatively easily and pop them up. That being said, though, I have an iPhone XS, and the performance outside of just the screen smoothness, the ProMotion that we went over, the performance is not incredibly different on the iPhone XS. Opening apps on any modern iPhone has been really smooth for a while now. So I think you're not going to notice a huge difference just in that raw performance if you've had a modern iPhone that's newer than maybe the iPhone 10. Outside of just those basics of performance, camera, battery life, this is just a really solid package of a phone. The only complaint that I have is that it's not incredibly comfortable in the hand. You're gonna want a case because, I mean, not only to just have it feel good in your hand, but just to protect the phone, of course. This is a fragile phone. But you're gonna want a case just for those sharp edges of the corners. You can see just the edge there. When you're holding the phone, it grinds right into your hands, especially if you're trying to use it caseless like I sometimes do, I'll admit to it. It's not very comfortable to use because you need to often give it some pressure to keep it there. It's just not very satisfying to hold in your hand. It is a pretty design, no matter how it feels. It's a pretty design, but I wouldn't say that it's a comfortable phone to hold, and I think Apple is making a really good move with making the 15 Pro a little bit more curved around the edges. But all in all, considering what this phone is and the prices we're starting to see it at, if you look around on eBay, on I wouldn't say Amazon, I think Amazon's a little bit overpriced for used phones, but eBay and Swappa and even Facebook Marketplace, if you can find one of these in good shape, preferably unlocked, you're getting a lot for your money, and I think you really can't go wrong with a 13 Pro in 2023 and beyond. I think the only thing that you're missing out on with the 14 Pro is just the fun bits that come from the dynamic island and the always-on display that's on the 14 Pro. And that is really nice for just when your phone is sitting there, you can see what your notifications are, the time, etc. But this 13 Pro, I've heard, has better battery life than the 14 Pro. So if you just need a phone that lasts, that has good performance, I think this is about the best iPhone you can get. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any thoughts or any comments, and leave them down below. Have a good one. Bye.